So for some reaction to the hostage drama that played out last night, we are joined now by UDM leader General Bantu Holomisa. General, good morning and thanks for speaking with us here on Morning Live. Please give us your reaction to that hostage situation that played out last night.
It's quite surprising, given that these problems at the military veterans have been here for years. I wonder why did the authorities not attend to them? In fact, in this government, they never respond to the concerns of the people they lead. In a way, therefore, I think the Department of Defense has to deal with these problems. The issue of addressing these matters depends on whether they have a sound administrators at the Department of Veterans. But the presentations which have been tabled or made to the Portfolio Committee on Defense have not been rosy at all, because the people themselves who are manning that department, I think are there because they were deployed but having no skill at all to run that department. So this is a culmination of that angle we have been witnessing in that department for years, not yesterday's thing.
And with regard to those grievances, as you say, General, it's not the first time that military veterans in this country have raised concerns. But just in terms of who makes up this cohort of military veterans in South Africa post the apartheid era, is that particular issue completely resolved? I mean, has there been clarity in terms of who qualifies, who doesn't qualify? Because at the time, there were people who said that they felt that they were also worthy of some of these benefits, but were not getting them because they were not in exile or things like that.
That's the problem of the liberation movements themselves, because when we integrated the armed forces in 1993-94, for instance, on paper, the ANC said they had 13,000 troops. But it turned out that there are those who came back who claimed to have been MK but who didn't appear in the register of the MK. And then you have 19-year-olds who claim to be MK veterans as well. I'm sure the Kalni House of this world can explain more. It's a total confusion. But it would need good administrators to sort out that mess, but not the current people who are heading that section, who have no clue about the military either.
So some of the other issues, General, that are of concern. A few years ago, one would remember at one of the municipalities in KZN, there were people who claimed to be members of MK who actually went and demanded tenders and demanded jobs and basically had a similar sort of hostage feel to that situation. So should we be concerned about this?
Indeed, because there is no discipline. You can see that this area is led by people who are doubted if they have ever been trained militarily. So I think the president needs to appoint a clearing house to clear the mess in that veterans department. Even this newly appointed DG, she is completely out of her way. She is just causing more havoc in that department.
And just a final question, General, with regard to reparations more broadly speaking, because one of the demands is, of course, for reparations. And at this point, it's been quoted as the people who held the ministers hostage, saying that they want about 4.4 million in reparations. But broadly speaking, in the South African context, and reparations for apartheid, which was deemed a crime against humanity, what is your take on that and the way South Africa has gone about this particular matter?
In principle, one supports such a call, but unfortunately, right from the word go, it was never introduced formally in the circles of government. I remember during the time we appeared in the TRC, there was a legitimate expectation on the part of many in this country that those who were affected by the apartheid, especially those families whose children were killed, they expected that there will be something. But I'm sure Bishop Tutu and Advocate Tradeza might have recommended as such, but the government, again, did not take this seriously to implement it. But for 4 million for an individual. But what we also must not forget here is that the conflict between white and black South Africans, at the end of the day, there was no winner. A winner was South Africa. And we compromised at the end of the day. We agreed to compromise. And then both sides. What we should have done is not to push out all the people with experience in the military, black and white, and TPVC states as soldiers, but should have integrated those even at the top structures of the SANTS. But sadly, they were not accommodative. The MK just dominated the whole setup, yet they lost a lot of experienced soldiers who understand administration, because those soldiers were trained conventionally. They should have integrated each other amongst themselves, integrate those people, and start retraining everybody. That has not happened.
So, General, just finally, what's the way forward?
Let the Commander-in-Chief appoint a committee to do a sort of a clearing exercise. Call MK, the commanders of MK, they are still around. How many troops did you command or trained? How many were inside the country? Where are the files of those people? Then they can work with the officials at the Veterans Department. But if everyone is just going to crop up and say, no, I was marching inside the country and I qualified to be called a military veteran. That's a chaos, I'm telling you. Crisis, big crisis.
Well, General Bantu Holomisa, thank you so much for your time. And the leader of the UDM there giving us his reaction to that hostage situation that played out at the St. George's Hotel last night. 3 ministers held hostage, or supposedly so, by members of MK.